I'm going to do a RAM clear on this console and reprogram it. I'm going to turn the power switch off, hold down on the previous button while I turn it on. And you see this erasing system memory, you can let go of the button. It takes a little bit of time to erase the memory. But while we're waiting, I'm going to say these are the pump select buttons. These are the buttons that you press to choose the fueling point you want to take an action on. This is the data action buttons where you can punch in gas prices, you can punch in prepaid sales amounts, any kind of data entry. These are the numbers you're going to use. The change button is a lot like the enter button. It's exactly like the enter button, as a matter of fact. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by pressing the menu to program this up. You'll see these asterisks across here. That means that there's not enough programming for fueling point number 1. Remember I told you could press these and select different fueling points. You'll see that we're on pump 4. Every fueling point has no programming. So we're going to hit menu, we're going to fix it. We're going to punch in our secret password, which is all 2s, and hit the enter button. Now you can go into price right away, and we're doing self-service. We're going to do single tier, so we're not going to put in a cash price. We're going to put in the credit price of $238.9 and enter. You have to hit enter every time. And actually, when you press enter, we were on the credit column of the first product. We came down to the cash of the second product. We're going to hit enter again, and now we're over here, and we're going to punch in $248.9 for a mid-grade and hit enter. We're going to put in a $258.9 for a premium. And we're going to sell some diesel today at $288.9. Enter. That's our prices. And hit previous. And I'm going to go down to grades. Now we've got 4 products, but we have only 3 tanks. Regular, and this is a declining tank inventory balance. You don't need to put anything in there. We're going to have a premium tank, and we're going to have a diesel tank. If you did put numbers in here, what you do is stick your tank in the ground, convert that to gallons, punch those gallons in here, remembering with the tenths, hundredths, and thousands of gallons. And each time you sell a gallon, it will subtract from that number. It's a declining tank inventory balance. But it's not necessary to use to program this console. I'm going to hit the previous button. It takes me back to the main screen. I'm going to go down here to products and hit either enter or change. I'm going to sell regular unleaded. This 0 that's flashing here is how many decimal points you want to move the price per gallon for this particular product. If you had racing fuel, you could, and you were selling it for over $10 a gallon, you can put a 1 there, and it would allow you to enter a higher price per gallon. But we're going to sell regular, mid-grade, and premium, and I'm just hitting enter to bypass this column of zeros. And diesel, highway diesel, is 12. Now if we want to sell off-road diesel, that's 13. There's a list of different and you notice I'm using these arrow buttons to go back and edit this screen. We're selling highway diesel today. There's a list of all the available codes in the manual. I'm going to hit the previous to go back. I'm going to go down and I'm going to set up our pump. Our pump, remember, is a blender. Our A hose, this is a hose or a grade select button at pump number 1. going to say the A hose is regular unleaded and hit enter. And it's going to come out of tank 1. And they have grade select buttons, so I'm going to hit a 1 here. Now our middle hose is our mid-grade. That's our second product, but it's a blender. It's going to take some of it out of the first tank and some of it out of the second tank. We're going to leave that at 0 because we're doing self-service. This is our premium, and it comes out of tank 2. Now we'll do the same thing for pump fueling point number 2. We're going to hit 1, enter, 1, enter, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter. And this is our third product, and it comes out of tank 2. This is TNK1 and TNK2. This, when you're selling. Alright, so now we're going to do our diesel, and let's make it a mechanical. So we'll hit previous, and we can go down here, and we can set the clock, hit enter, and you put in the hours. I don't know what time it is. Let's say it's 10 o'clock in the morning. If it was 10 o'clock in the evening, it'd be 22, and 06, sure, and it's October, I believe it's the 5th in the year of 2017. That's how you set the clock. You can go down here to system, and this is going to tell you how your beeper is going to beep for when it's time to collect your money. This is going to tell you how your beeper is going to beep when the people want to lift up the handle and get gas. We have auto print. If you turn that on, every completed sale is going to print a receipt if you have a receipt printer. Auto authorize is if you don't want to hit authorize every time, you just want to let anybody get as much gas as they want, but you want to know when they're done, you put a 1 on there, and the console will beep if it's programmed to. Right now it is to have a repeating beep on the collect beep. Console type, it's either a 0 or 1. A 0 is an 8 fueling position console, and a 1 is a 16 fueling point. Debug is something interesting. We can go over here, and 3, for instance, is what we use to test the lights in the keypad. I'm going to hit menu, and when I hold down the pump number, it'll flash both of those lights. It won't do it multiple times. You have to choose another pump. Oh, we didn't turn the 16 on, but it's just a little thing that we use here to test and make sure for our functionality. But we've got this console programmed at least to control pumps. But in order for all that program to take effect, we're going to turn the console off and back on. You don't have to leave it off for any period of time. You can just turn it off and back on, and console is going to look for fueling point number 1, and it's going to poll it and try to find out what kind of pump it is. If we don't have any interconnect box or pumps hooked up, but it's going to look there, and if it finds a pump, that fueling point number will stay. If it cannot find a pump, it will turn the fueling point number into an X. You see over here it says fail. The only fail we have is a failure in communication. Now what we'll do is we'll hook up this console to an interconnect box that has some fueling points in it, and we'll do some operations.